Grooming your wife may sound like a disturbing idea, but both the husband and wife need to do some form of vetting, which can be entirely platonic, where they basically simulate living with each other. And the way it works is you take into consideration your lifestyle and dietary preferences, and you actually simulate as if you were living together, but not actually living together, and seeing if it feels like it makes sense. And this is part of the process which people are very hesitant to, because they're not really thinking in terms of ownership and being possessive of each other, partly because feminism has suggested that, okay, women are better off trying to act feminine or to act masculine and do things like take birth control, which actually damages their hormones, something men would surely never do. And so we have to ask ourselves, how do we lovingly love ourselves first and then extend ourselves to another person? Well, it starts with being super prepared and being very straightforward when approaching someone that you're actually attracted to. Like you have to really think about it and really ask them straightforward, like, are you looking for a husband? And then ask her, could we maybe, would you like my email or my social media? And then she can look into it more and then ask, do you have a father or male guardian? Like, be very, and you don't want to mess this up. You don't want somebody to be a second choice. And that's why you want to be super ready, super dialed in on who you are and what you want out of a woman. And remember that you may find many women physically attractive and people your personality are nice, but you really got to think the lifestyle you want. Would you want to have kids with that person? Would you want to be around them when they were maybe they got injured in a wheelchair and you had to help them out for 6 months? And life can even get more difficult than that, but that's the point of life, is to prove itself through financial and health challenges. Is love real? Love is real when people choose to be really strategic and scientific in how they vet and assess somebody for compatibility. And you can do it all through a platonic and maybe with the assistance of some chaperones or involvement of other figures in your life, like influential figures or parents, people who will look out for you. Because especially for women seem to have this idea that they can be like men and they can set boundaries and everything, but the reality is they are more suggestible, they're more vulnerable to their emotions and being tricked into feeling good or excited, and then that gets them, just like a salesperson tricks them, and they're thinking that a possessive man is like an indication of a man who has insecurities. No, a possessive man is someone who is actually a man who wants to be guardian of his wife. That is what actual men do, and by definition, this whole idea of dating, it's about manipulating women, giving them things, making them feel like they owe you intimacy, and ultimately getting intimacy from them before giving commitment. And so the whole thing, by definition, is wrong, and it involves men who don't really want to commit, or at least aren't fully sure of who who they want and who they are. And so it's time to be conscious of this, and we can do it. We can work together. We can use techniques that have actually been introduced a long time ago. People have discovered ways to have healthy gender separation, being respectful of the opposite gender, realizing that there is energy there that needs to be created. You need to create space between that. And really, it's a question of sustainability. Like, people, especially, feminist women, they'll act like everything's good, even if they're a single mother, etc. But it's not sustainable. It doesn't allow them to fully enjoy being in their feminine. It doesn't allow for a proper parental figure for the children, a male parental figure that's a disciplinarian. Because even if they get a good, loving husband, it's hard for the mother to really let that person be a disciplinarian. And that's the worst thing, because in some instances, the male would be predatory towards the daughters, and so it's just messy. And we need to clear this up, and we need to purify ourselves and remember the value of purity, and that it is attractive. A woman who's never been with another man is, and this is the same. A man who's never been with a woman are people who have no no unwanted memories, no unwanted attachments, no comparisons to other people that they're going to bring into the relationship. And we can figure this out together, guys, but it's going to require a scientific approach, and it can all be done platonically, including assessing the most personal aspects of compatibility, like in the bedroom, and financial matters and health matters. You can talk earnestly about all that stuff in email with a potential person, but you got to know each other first. You got to know yourselves first, and that includes women, knowing intimately what they want using toys, and men knowing what makes sense for them, and it requires a higher degree of honesty than I think people have been willing to share. And so this is like the path to truth. It's the return to who we are, truth. Aloha, guys. Thanks for considering.